Hello, welcome back to another episode of Merv Reads. Who's Merv? I'm Merv. Who does she read to? You guys. I'm reading to you guys. I am your reader today and indefinitely, as long as you want to keep coming back to the channel to watch me read to you, or just listen to me read to you, watch me read to you. I mean, if you want to watch me, I don't have an issue with that. If you also want to listen to me, you can go ahead, listen to me. I don't know. If you like my videos, you can for sure give it a like. If you don't want to like it, you don't have to. If you want to talk about the lessons I'm covering, not like studying material lessons, as in like, like as we go along the book, and if you have any opinions to share, you sure can share, and we can talk about it, because I'm trying to find people that have similar interests as me when it comes to reading, genre, all that stuff. I have hard time connecting with anyone because people usually say, Merv, go away, this is very depressing. I don't want to talk about this. I tried reading my mom some of these books, and she just told me I need to go get help, and that's why she thinks I need help, because all of these books are too traumatizing. And I said, Mother, shut up. Okay, now that we talked a lot about us, let's go back into our book called The Pearl That Broke His Shell. Hold on. Where did I keep it? Where did I keep it? Come on, book. Where are you? Oh, are you under that book? Okay. I don't know if you can see, but The Pearl That Broke His Shell is right here. I have held up the book a number of times, so I hope you guys do believe me when I say I have the book. I do have the book. I also have it downloaded. I'm like obsessed with some of these books that I read. It just doesn't leave my mind. And I'm tired of venting to my boyfriend about all of these. And I'm tired of him saying, Murph, Murph, Murph. We barely get time together. And when we do, you're just talking about your fucking books. This is it. Annoying. A lot said. Let's get back into The Pearl That Broke Its Shell. Okay. So, the last I left you guys off was, I'm using my reading voice, so I hope you guys enjoy this. Okay, so last I read you guys chapter 8 and 9. Now, if you're gonna ask me, Merv, what happened in chapter 8 and 9, I will tell you it was focused on Shakiba a lot. Shakiba gets kicked out of Boba Shuggle's house. Our girl Shakiba literally tells Boba Shuggle finally off. She goes, girl, get the hell out of here. I hate you. You're cursed now. And our girl Shakiba also gets smacked horribly by her uncle, that even her paralyzed, disfigured side of face could feel the pain. It was that bad. And on her way to this new owner house guy, she is just praying things to go well, because if they don't, how will she return to her grandma that she literally just cursed? You tell me. So that's her biggest fear. But everything goes as our girl wants. Life is all good. She's kind of like, wow, these people are actually very nice, and nobody's talking about my looks. Like, very nice, very nice. I also want to add, sorry, this is my Murph voice. I also want to add, the more comfortable I'm getting, the more I'm reading, my personality is really coming out. So I'm sorry if you were more used to my nice girl personality, and now you're like, what the hell are you? Why is she acting like this? I'm getting too comfortable, guys. I'm getting too comfortable. Alright. Now, back to my reading voice. Do you like that? Did you like that? I hope you did. Okay. Okay, enough. I said enough. I hope that recap was good enough for you guys. Now, chapter 10, Rahima. Khala Shaima told us how Bibi Shakiba adjusted to changes in her life. Now, I had to adjust to the changes in mine. I had to learn how to interact with boys. It's one thing to play soccer with them, running alongside them, and bumping elbows or shoulders. It was a whole other to be talking with them as we walked home from school. Abdullah and Ashraf would pat me on the back, sometimes even sling an arm around my neck as a friendly gesture. She's like, "What is going on? Men can be like this, and they're being like this with me? Crazy." I mean boys, because, they're teenagers. Sorry, let's go back. My instincts were to jerk back, to run away, and never look them in the eye again. My mother would raise an eyebrow if I came home before Munir. "Why are you home so early?" she would say, wiping her wet hands on a rag. "Because," I said vaguely and tore off a piece of bread. "Rahim!" "Sorry, I'm hungry." Marjan bit her tongue and resumed slicing potatoes into round chips with a hint of a smile on her face. "Listen, Rahim John, you should be out with the boys, playing. That's what boys do. Do you understand what I'm saying?" Marjan still spoke in circles when it came to talking about my shift from girl to boy. I think she was afraid she would stop believing the charade herself if she spoke of it too directly. "Yes, Mother John, but sometimes I just want to." They push each other a lot, then push back." I was surprised by her advice, but the look on her face told me she was serious. Here sat my mother telling me the exact opposite of what she'd always said. I would have to toughen up. Marjan had been home for 3 days. Everyone was on edge. Every sound, every smell jarred him, inciting a string of profanities and a few slaps when he mustered the effort. For most of the days, he sat in the living room and smoked his cigarettes. Our heads grew dizzy from the smell, and Marjan had us spend more time in the courtyard. She swaddled Sitar in the blanket and turned her over to Shala while she did the cooking on her own. Sometimes my uncles would sit with him, smoking and talking about the war, about neighbors and the Taliban, but none of them smoked as much as Father John. "What do you think it would be like if Kaka Jamal was our father?" Rohila asked one day. She and Shala were collecting the laundry from the clothesline. Shala stopped in her tracks. "Rohila! What? How could you say such a thing?" I listened, but kept my attention on the marbles in front of me. I flicked my finger and watched. One sent off too far to the left. I let out a frustrated huff. Ashraf's aim was much better than mine. "Just pay attention to where you want it to go," Abdullah said. "You're only looking at the marble in front of you. You have to look at the target." I froze when he took my hand and showed me how to position my fingers, tucking my pinky under so it wouldn't get in the way. I still wondered what my mother would say if she were to see us. Was this okay too? Abdullah was right. Once I started looking in the direction I wanted the marble to roll, my shots were better. Marbles tapped against each other and rolled out of the circle. I would have won against Abdullah today. Well, maybe not Abdullah, but definitely against Ashraf. My aims were improving. "It's just a question, Shala. You don't have to get so upset about it." Shala shot Rahila a chastising look. "It's not just a question. If it were just a question, I'd like to see you go and ask it in front of Father John. Anyway, Kaka Jamal always looks like he's mad, even when he's laughing. Have you noticed the way his eyebrows move?" She cocked her head to the side and turned both her eyebrows inwards, leaning towards Rohila, who burst into laughter. "You can't ask for another father," Hermine interjected. "Ila, Rahila's chuckles quieted as she turned to hear what Perveen was thinking. It would throw everything off. I sat up. My left side had gotten stiff from leaning in one position. What are you talking about, Perveen? I asked. You can't just have Kaka Jamal as your father without making a lot of other changes. That means Khala Rokul would be your mother, and then Sabur and Munir would be your brothers. Perveen was Father John's favorite. If he had to pick one, that is. Maybe he'd already suffered enough disappointment by the time she was born that her being a girl hadn't stung him as other two had. But more than that, there was something about her temperament and drawings that calmed him. Maybe that's why she was more forgiving of him, or it could have been the other way around. Wait, you'd better stop before someone hears you, Shala, warned Rahila. Sitara had started to whine and wriggle in her blanket. I bounced her over her shoulder expertly. She was about to enter adolescence, her body no longer in androgynous shape. Rohila, strangely enough, seemed to be 2 steps ahead of her. Father John had started her wearing a bra a year and a half ago, when her breasts began to poke through her dresses. I had tried her bra on once, just out of curiosity. Rohila had left it behind in the washroom by accident again. Mother John had slapped her once for being so indecent. Still, she hadn't forgotten. I laid it out in front of me and tried to make sense of the straps. I stuck my arms through the loop and tried to fasten it in the back, my arms reaching awkwardly, blindly for the clasp. After a few minutes, I gave up and looked down at the lump of clothes hanging loosely over my square chest. I stuck my chest out, trying to see if I could fill the miniature cups, and realizing I didn't want to. Instead, I sat on the ground, cross-legged and comfortable, while my sisters became women. Later that night, I answered a knock at the door. Father John lay in the living room, his loud snores rumbling through his chest. Sometimes he snorted so loudly that Rohila giggled, and Shala's hand clamped over her sister's mouth to stifle the sound. Perrine would shake her head, disappointed in her sister's behavior. Mother Jean shot both girls a warning look. Shala's eyes widened in a declaration of innocence. There was a man at front gate. I recognized him as one of my father's friends. He was gruff and had skin the texture of our plaster walls. "Go and call your father," he said simply. I nodded and ran back into the house, taking a deep breath before I nudged Father John's shoulder. I called out to him louder and louder before his snoring rhythm broke and he fumbled to rub his bloodshot eyes. "What the hell is wrong with you?" "Excuse me, Father John. Kaka John is at the gate." His eyes began to focus. He sat up and scratched his nose. "Fine, Bacham. Go and bring me my sandals." I was his son and allowed to wake him up for important matters. I saw Shala's eyebrows draw upwards. She noted the difference too. I went to the courtyard to listen in on their conversation. I sat away from the gate where they were talking, out of the man's view. Abdul Khalik has summoned everyone. We'll meet in the morning and then head out. They're bombarding an area north of here, and it looks like they'll gain some ground if we don't fend them off. There's a lot of talk about that area. Seems the Americans are going to be sending us some weapons or something. The Americans? How do you know that? Marjan asked, his back against the gate. His guest had declined his invitation to come in. Abdul Khalik met with one of their men last week. They want those people out of there. They're still looking for that Arab. Whatever the reason, at least they'll be helping us out. When are we leaving? Sunrise. By the boulder. On the road going east. Marjan was gone for 2 months. That time, but it felt different to me. I felt proud to know my father was fighting alongside a giant like America. My grandfather wasn't so sure it was a good idea. He seemed more suspicious of these Americans, but I didn't see why. Khala Shaima was sitting in our living room when I came home that afternoon. Since my transformation, I had only seen her once, and that was before school had started. There you are! I've been aging, waiting for you, Rahim John, she said, emphasizing a new twist on my name. Salam, Khala Shaima. I was happy to see her, but nervous to hear what she would say about my progress. Come, sit next to me and tell me exactly what you've been doing. Your mother has obviously failed in getting your sisters in school, despite the fact that we came up with a plan to make everyone, even your intoxicated father, satisfied. She shot Marjan a look from the corner of her eye. Marjan sighed and moved Sitara to her left breast to nurse. She looked as if she'd already tired of this conversation. I've been going to class and Muallim Sahib is giving me good marks. Right, Marjan? I wanted Khala Shaima to approve, especially since it had been her who had won me this new freedom. Yes, he's been doing well. A small smile. Shala and Parveen were sitting in the living room, their fingers nimbly sifting through lentils and removing stones. Shala had done twice as much as Parveen, who had arranged her lentils into a pile of different shapes. Rohila had come down with a cold and was sleeping in the next room. Well, I'm sorry I wasn't here sooner to check up on you all. My health hasn't been very good. I hate that it keeps me from doing what I want. Are you feeling better now, Khalajan? Shala asked politely. Yes, Baicham, but for how long? My bones are tired and achy, and the dust was so bad last month that each breath threw me into a hacking fit. Sometimes I coughed so hard I thought my intestines would fall right out of my body. That was Khala Shaima's way of explaining things. But anyway, enough about old people. You know your sisters aren't as lucky as Rahim. Shaima, I told you, once things have settled down, I'll be able to send the girls back to school. Settle down? Settle down where? In this house? Settle down? Settle down where? In this house or the whole country? When do you think that will be? Because as far as I can remember, these children have been living under rocket fire for their entire lives. For God's sake, I can't even remember a day when this country was in a war. I know that, Shaima-jan, but I don't think you understand my situation. If their father forbids them from, their father can eat shit. Shaima! Shala and Pareen both froze. That was more than we have expected, even from Khala Shaima. You're so defensive about him. Open your eyes, Raisa. Can't you see what he is? What he is my husband. Marjan yelled louder than we'd ever heard her before. And you have to understand, please, don't you think I know better than anyone what he is or isn't? What can I do? Your husband is an idiot. That's why I worry about these girls being around him. Sit with us and you'll be one of us. Sit with a pot and you'll be black. Shaima, please. Khala Shaima sighed and relented. Fine, alright then, Raisa. But that's why I keep coming here and harping after these girls. Somebody needs to oppose him. And who better than... That's right, Khala Shaima said with satisfaction. She turned her attention back to me. Shala and Parveen resumed their work, but at a slower pace, unnerved by Marjan's yelling. So tell me then, have you been adjusting well? No trouble with the boys? No trouble, Khalajan. I've been playing soccer, and I'm better than my cousin Munir, I think. And no one said anything to you? No, Khalajan. Good. And what kind of things are you doing to help your mother? Rahim has been going to the market for me. The store owner give him better prices than they do me. Don't forget, Marjan, I've been working with Aga Bergside, and he's been giving me a little money. I was getting to that, Rahim. You know, Aga Barakzai has that little shop in the village? Well, he's been in need of. You know, Aga Barakzai has that little shop in the village? He's been in need of help with errands, and I asked Rahim to stop by there and see if he could pick up a bit of work. Aga Barakzai can hardly see anymore with his terrible eyes. You're a working boy now! Now that's news! Khala Shaima clapped her hands together. Yup, I go all around and no one bothers me. I can do anything. I even saw Father's friend Abdul Khalik yesterday. Marjan stiffened and looked at me. Who did you see? This Abdul Khalik, I repeated quieter this time. Khala Shaima looked as displeased as my mother. I wondered if I'd done something wrong. Did he say something to you? Not much. He brought me a snack and told me I was coming along nicely. Marjan shot another look at Khala Shaima, who shook her head. This is not a man to have your children tagging along after, not even Rahim. You'll stay away from that man, Rahim, Marjan said, warning me, her eyes wide and serious. Do you understand me? I nodded, my sisters fidgeting in the silence that followed. Khala Shaima, could you tell us more about Bibi Shakiba? Parveen asked. Bibi Shakiba? Ah, you want to know more? Well, let me see if I can remember where I left off. Just as Khala Shaima leaned back and closed her eyes to tell us more of the story, we heard the door open. My grandmother rarely came to visit us, but Marjan had been gone for 2 months, and she felt compelled to check up on things, especially when she saw Khala Shaima hobble through the front gate. Khala Shaima treated my grandmother with respect, but it was measured and anything but warm. My grandmother, on the other hand, felt no obligation to put on airs with my aunt. Salam, she called as she entered. My mother jumped to her feet, startling Sitara, who had nearly fallen asleep. She adjusted the top of her dress and walked to the door to greet her mother-in-law. Khala Shaima took her time, but pushed herself up to greet her sister's mother-in-law. Salam, Khalajan, how's your health? Well, I hope. She almost sounded sincere. My sisters and I kissed her hands. She sat down across from my mother, and Shala brought a cup of tea from the kitchen. Oh, you're here, Shaima-jan. How nice of you to drop by again so soon. I could hear in my grandma's voice, you come too often. Khala Shaima said nothing. You've heard nothing from Arifjan? Any word on when they'll return? Marjan shook her head. No, Khalajan, nothing at all. I pray they will return soon. In meantime, I've spoken with Marsaljan. Her family has agreed to give their daughter's hand in marriage for Obed. Obed was my father's brother. This was a surprising news. Obedjan? I didn't realize. Yes, so we'll be preparing for her arrival. We will have their nikah in 2 months' time, inshallah. This will be a blessing for our family. A second wife will bring him more children and grow our family. They have 5 children, Name Khuda, Marjan said softly. Yes, but only 2 boys. Boys are blessings. and Obed wants more sons. Better to have more children than to try to change the ones you have. Anyway, I made you aware. Fatma may call on you for help preparing a place for his new wife. This is happy news, and we'll all take part in it. Of course, Khalajan, it's wonderful news. Marjan's voice was soft. Khala Shaima watched the interaction with narrowed eyes. Hopefully, there will be more of it in the future, she said, nodding her head. My grandmother got back up and walked to the door. Anyway, that's all for now, Shaima Jan. Send my regards to the family, will you? I guess you'll be leaving soon, as it is getting late. You're too kind, Khalajan. You make me feel so welcome there. It's difficult to leave. I saw my grandmother's shoulders stiffen before she left, and the way Marjan and Khala Shaima looked at each other. Khala Shaima shook her head. This meant bad news for our household. Come, girls, let me tell you more about Bibi Shakiba. I'll tell you how easily women pass from one place to another, from one home to another. What happens once happens twice, and then a third time. Chapter 11. Okay, so that was the end of chapter 10. What do we think? So our girl Rahima, that's a boy right now, Rahim, has interacted with Abdul Khalik. I'm so uncomfortable, but at the same time, shit like this happens. I shouldn't say that. Alright, so that was the end of chapter 10. I feel like a lot happened in this chapter. Mr. Padarjan, the dad, Arif, has left. Amazing, cool, awesome. Abdul Khalik saw our girl, Rahim. That's so upsetting. And who says something along the lines of, you're coming along so well. Shut up, bro. Ew. I love Khala Shaima. Now we're entering our chapter 11, Shakiba. Chapter 11, Shakiba. Azizullah sat in the living room with his brother, Hafizullah. Hafizullah. Well, I can't be making fun of that because me and my sister's name is similar, so. Back to the book. There were 2 other men with them as well, but Shakiba did not know their name and had never seen them before. They had white turbans on their head and pale blue tunics and pantaloons. Hafizullah wore a brown vest over his tunic, his prayer beads hanging from the pocket. Shakiba, father wants the food to be ready in 20 minutes, announced Haris. He says they're going to be leaving soon, so it better not take too long. Shakiba nodded nervously, knowing the rice would have to be a touch undercooked. She added more oil to the pot, hoping that extra grease would soften the grains. Haris leaned over her shoulder and tried to snatch a piece of meat from the bowl next to Shakiba. Her right arm went up instinctively and snagged him by the wrist. You know better, Haris. Not until after they've eaten. Her tone was gentle but firm. Haris was by far her favorite of the children. He would sometimes sit with her when he had tired of his siblings. She didn't mind his company. On the contrary, she enjoyed his chatter and the stories he would tell about his teacher. Just one piece, he pleaded. If you have a piece, then your brothers will want some too when they see you licking the sauce off your fingers. No, I promise. I won't tell them I had some. I lick my fingers clean here before I go out. Haris was already an expert negotiator. Fine then, but just one. He had snatched the largest chunk before Shakiba could finish her sentence. Haris! He grinned, his cheeks lumpy with lamb. How lucky she was to live in a house that could afford to eat lamb. Shakiba sighed and pretended to be annoyed. What are they talking about in there anyway? she asked. Don't you know the king is coming? The king? Shakiba asked. Which king? King Habibullah, of course. Oh, Shakiba had no idea who King Habibullah was. It had been years since her father had shown an interest in anything beyond their wall. Is he coming here? Here? Are you crazy, Shakiba? He's going to Kaka Hafizullah's house. Azizullah's brother had managed to secure himself a position as a friend of the monarchy. He served as a regional overseer and reported to the authorities in Kabul, the capital. For years, he had served as a loyal delegate and traveled frequently to the palace to meet with the king's advisor. He was vying for royal attention in the hopes of becoming Hakim to their province. With such a title, such an attractive amount of power, and so Hafizullah often shared hearty meals and lavished compliments on anyone with any influence. Azizullah had no patience for such highbrow relations, but he did enjoy the secondary benefits that came with having a strategically placed brother. People in the village showed Azizullah deference, hoping they could curry favor with Hafizullah. This was how influence trickled down from the monarchy into the most insignificant of homes in the countryside. And while Shakiba had no knowledge of such diplomatic matters, she too became enchanted by the prospect of King paying a local visit. She imagined horses and regal clothing, guards at his side. She adjusted her headscarf and poured fresh cups of tea, hoping to distract their appetite for a few more minutes. She carried a tray into the living room and kept her head bowed, wanting to be discreet as possible. It is a huge honor. This is the opportunity I've been waiting for. Thanks to Allah, I have been in many favors and secured the making of a fine feast for the night. We will make kurbani. A goat will be slaughtered in the king's good name. I am sparing no expense. How are you to pay for this? How many people will be with him? Surely there will be at least a dozen pretentious mouths to feed. There is a price to pay for everything, but it is a chance I could not let escape. Sharifullah has been Hakim for his province for long enough. It is pure good fortune that he has traveled across the country now to attend a funeral for his cousin. Good fortune for you, Azizullah laughed. But not for his cousin. Forget about his cousin, dear brother. The point is that this is a chance for our family to reach the next level. That is what our father would have wanted to see. May Allah forgive him and keep him in peace. If I am made Hakim, we will control the entire province. Imagine the life we would have. You would be an excellent Hakim, certainly. And for what I have heard, many of the villages are displeased with Sharifullah's ruling. The man is spineless. The kingdom would all but forget our province were it not for the crops our lands produced every season. Sharifullah has done nothing for us. When Aga Sobrani and Aga Hamidi disputed that land by the river, it was his idiotic idea that they should each take half. Shakiba listened as she gathered the empty teacups and brought the dishes of nuts closer to the men. Neither Sobrani nor Hamidi has any respect for him. They are equally dissatisfied with him. He should have given the land to Hamidi. His claim was reasonable, and his family carries more clout than Sobrani's. Better to have Hamidi's full support and anger only Sobrani. Irrefutable logic. Shakiba quietly crept out of the room. She had grown accustomed to Hafizullah's animated speeches and found him entertaining in some way. At the same time, she was thankful that Allah hadn't placed her in his custody. as she was certain he was a brute in his home. As soon as she left the room, she heard Hafizullah's tone change. She stopped and tilted her ear towards the living room. "And how are the things going with your new help? Shakiba Shola? Is she fulfilling her duties around the house?" "Well enough," Azizullah answered. "Marjan has not had many grievances about her. That family must be so relieved to have unloaded her. From what I heard, Baba Shakul was heartbroken at her son's passing, could not bear to have his child in her home because she was a constant reminder of her dead son. You would have heard more than me. The girl does not speak of her family. Actually, she hardly speaks at all. She has that much sense. At least your wife doesn't have to worry about you're taking her as a second wife," Hafizullah joked, slapping his hand on his thigh loudly. "No, she's not for marriage. She is able-bodied and does the work of a man. Sometimes it escapes us that she is, in fact, a girl. Her strength makes me marvel. I saw her just a few days ago carrying 3 pails of water and walking straight as if it were no effort whatsoever. Her uncles told me she had been keeping up her father's farm along with him. More useful than a mule. Good," Hafizullah said. "Whatever happened to her father? I remember running into him just after his children were taking in the cholera wave. He looked terrible. Too sensitive, that man was. His brother told me that he had not been feeling well in the last few months. Aga Fridun told me they had a conversation and he knew his time was coming. He made arrangements for his daughter to live with Bobo Shuggle and distributed his land, his tools, and his animal among his brothers." Shakiba's eyes widened. A lie! My father had no such conversation. He had not seen his brothers after her mother died. She wondered if this story was Kaka Fredon's idea or Bobo Shuggle's. Her family was sweeping in to pick up any scraps her father had left behind. "The land should be mine. My grandfather gave it to my father. My father wanted nothing to do with his family. I should be the owner of that land." Shakiba wondered where the deed was. The deed was a simple document signed by her grandfather, her father, a few distant relatives, and a village elder to confirm the transaction. Surely her uncles must have been looking for it when they dumped the contents of the house outside. "Shakiba, what are you doing here?" Teacups rattled in Shakiba's startled hands. Marjan had come up behind a very distracted Shakiba. She looked puzzled to see her frozen a few feet away from the living room. Chai, she mumbled, and headed directly for the kitchen, her head bowed to conceal her hurt eyes. The scent of cumin and garlic filled the room. Azizullah and his brother shared their meal, tearing off chunks of flatbread and picking up morsels of rice and meat. Shakiba wondered if any would be left for the rest of the family. Meat was hard to come by, even in this household, and it seemed that the men were going to finish. Her mind began to wonder as she dried the pots. What would happen if she were to try to claim that land? That thought almost made her laugh. Imagine a young woman trying to claim her father's land, snatching it from her uncle's greedy claws. She tried to imagine taking the deed to the local judge. What would he say? Most likely, he would kick her out, call her insane, maybe even send her back to her family. What if he didn't? What if he listened to her, agreed with her? Maybe he would think it was her right to have her father's land. Marjan was in the kitchen with her. She was sifting through the rice for any small stones. "Khanum Marjan," Shakiba said meekly. "Yes." Marjan paused and looked up. Shakiba spoke so rarely, one had to take notice. "What happens to a daughter when if her father has some land? If he is not..." Marjan pursed her lips and cocked her head. She could sense the question buried in Shakiba's rambling. Shakiba Jan, you are asking a ridiculous question. Your father's land will go to his family, since your brothers are dead. May Allah grant them peace. Marjan's response was blunt, but it was reality, regardless of what the laws might say. Her candor gave Shakiba confidence to speak openly. But what about me? Am I not rightfully an heir to the land? I'm his child too. You are his daughter. You are not his son. Yes, the law says that daughters may inherit a portion of what the son would inherit, but the truth is that women do not claim land. Your uncles, your father's brother, have no doubt taken the property. Shakiba let out a frustrated sigh. My girl, you're being ridiculous. What do you think you would do with this piece of land? First of all, you are living here now. This is your place. Secondly, you're unmarried, and no woman could possibly live on a piece of land alone. That is simply absurd. I lived alone on that land for months. It didn't feel absurd. It felt like my home. But Marjan could not know about her time alone. Shakiba did not dare share the details, knowing it was unspeakable for her to have done so. No reason to give the village more fodder for gossip. But what if I were a son? She asked unwillingly to let the matter go completely. If you were a son, you would have inherited the land. But you are not a son. You cannot be a son. And your life is now here as a part of this home. You're asking questions that will invite nothing but anger. Enough. Marjan needed to put stop to the discussion. If her husband heard them, he would surely be displeased. If these were the kind of thoughts that ran through her head, Marjan was thankful Shakiba did not speak more often. But I have always been my father's daughter's son. My father hardly knew I was a girl. I have always done the work a son would do. I am not to be considered for wife, so what is the difference? What of me is a girl? Shakiba gritted her teeth. I have lived alone. I have no need for anyone. Azizullah's family had been relatively kind to her, but Shakiba was restless. She felt freshly resentful of her family. I cannot go on like this forever. I must find a way to make a life for myself. And that, my friends, was the end of chapter 11. So we covered chapter 10 today, which was Rahima's storyline. What do we think? Abdul Khalik came across her, yes. That the way that sent shiver down my spine was insane. Shakiba never catches break, bro. Like, my girl. Nobody in this book ever catches break. They're all always struggling. I'm done talking about the book, but right now I am in between 3 different books. I am reading The Bastard of Istanbul, which I'll be doing a read along or audiobook thing. So I'll be posting that soon. And I'm reading Burnt Shadows. It's so emotional. It's so emotional to me. Like, it's so sad. And I am also reading The Ballad of Songbird and Snake, which I don't think I need to do. I'm pretty sure people have posted many audiobooks, so I don't think I need to cover that. But the next books that I will be covering, actually simultaneously I'll be covering right now. I think I'm gonna start doing another video of, or not another, I'll be doing I'm so tired, I'm so exhausted. Well, that was the end of that. Please, when I post my other videos, do watch them if you want to, especially if you do want to hear or read with me The Bastard of Istanbul. It's really good. And I was also low-key thinking about doing this thing, which is like, instead of just reading the books to myself and then making a video, I was thinking, I mean, I'll be doing that too, but I was thinking some books, let's like read together for the first time and kind of like like have those raw emotions, raw reaction. That's what I was thinking. It's gonna get ugly in here, guys. Yeah, I'm only halfway through the Bastard of Istanbul, so you know what? I have put a pause there because I want to discover this book with you guys. I want to go through the pain with you guys. And that's it. That's where I leave you guys off today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, please like, subscribe. Tell me, what do you guys think? What do you guys think about Shakiba? What would you have done if you were in Shakiba's place and you find out that you own a property and you don't have to live with all these people? Would you go and try to, like, I don't know, have your claim? Would you keep living with Marjan and Azizullah and not say anything? Personally, I don't know what I would do in that situation, actually. I really don't know. I love my freedom, but I also love to live with people. I don't know. As for Rahim is chillin'. Rahim is chillin'. Okay, well, that's enough. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you in the next one. Bye bye. Toodles, toodles, toodles.